Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're joining us from around the world. Welcome to Web3 Warriors, episode 94, featuring Shreya Bhan, an amazing artist, NFT artist, fashion designer, and founder of Brushbound. Thanks for joining us again, Shreya. How are you doing today?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm doing very well. It's 9 o'clock where I am, but I'm very excited to do this. And this is our second time. So I'm very excited to cover more things in this one.
Indeed. I'm excited to have you back on the show. I know you've got an amazing new kind of phygital fashion project that you're going to tell us about. And as you were kind of explaining the first time we had you on the show, like a lot of the advantages of bringing fashion into Web3 and integrating the blockchain. So really looking forward to hearing what's new and exciting in your world and how you're kind of integrating the fashion, art, and technology as your Brushbound website shows and says. So really excited to have that conversation with you. And yes, thank you everyone for joining. My name is David Krome. I go by Krome in the metaverse. I am the host of Web3 Warriors. And as we just mentioned today on the show, we're going to be talking about how fashion can utilize Web3 and blockchain to really take things to a new level, create new level of engagement with their collectors, with their fans, with your customers, and also have a new level of accountability on chain, right? So when I look at this topic, I think there's three kind of main areas that become really advantageous for fashion designers and really anyone in the fashion business and why they might want to embrace Web3 and blockchain. And I'm definitely looking forward to picking Shreya's brain about this. So the 3 points that I've looked at is, on one hand, the sustainability conversation, right? And the ability to be able to actually track your items from the initial kind of source of the supply and all the way through to the manufacturing and to the selling of the item, and being able to actually know that it was sourced ethically, being able to know that there were fair wages paid for the labor, for example, knowing where the materials came from, all that good stuff can be very transparently put on chain. So that's one piece. On the other side, there's also the whole metaverse conversation, right? And the idea of taking your actual real world fashion and bringing it into the digital world, into the metaverse, and kind of a digital clone idea, right? And so when you're attaching an NFT to your clothing line, maybe you create a digital version as well to kind of go with that. And so you now have that opportunity to actually have that all kind of bundled in together with a phygital piece of clothing that maybe has the NFT in it, that might have the digital version, right? And then lastly, really, community building, perks, loyalty programs, all that fun stuff that we hear about in Web3 and blockchain a lot. In fashion, it's no different, right? You can now have a very clear line of sight to who are your collectors, who are your customers. You'll have their wallet addresses. You can airdrop them certain, perks and certain advantages that maybe they can use in the metaverse. Maybe they have real world value that you actually drop to them. Maybe you give them crypto as a, small part of your revenue that you've made out of all your sales. All kinds of stuff you can do now that when you have that kind of on-chain data and you have that ability to really reward your customers in this kind of new way. So those are kind of the three main pieces that maybe to get us started, to get the conversation started, that we've talked about here and there in the past. And definitely I think Shreya's ahead of the pack on when it comes to building out her brand and really creating some cool stuff at Brushbound. So thank you again for joining us, Shreya. Maybe before we dive into your new project and everything you're working on, what else is new in Web3? And thanks again for joining us.
Thank you so much. That was a lovely introduction. And literally, you spoke about the three pillars of my new project. So that like encompasses pretty much everything that we're going to talk about for the next hour.
Beautiful.
Yeah, lots of exciting things. Definitely. I can see that phygital fashion is definitely coming at the forefront. I see a lot more, projects talking about it, not like just merch, but they're actually willing to like invest in a good fashion line and have a phygital fashion line alongside their project. So I think a lot of exciting things are definitely happening. There's obviously the Digital Fashion Week that is happening now annually in London, Paris, and New York, which is amazing. And I just saw today on LinkedIn, in fact, that the British Fashion Council has also started inviting a lot of digital fashion artists to be a part of the Fashion Week. So that's a great start because, as we know, that the fashion industry runs on a lot of heritage brands where there is not a lot of place for new brands to enter. So it's a great space, and it's amazing that Web3 is able to do that for a lot of fashion designers, whether they're digital or digital fashion designers. So very exciting things coming up for sure.
That is super exciting. So the Digital Fashion Week, obviously Fashion Week we've heard of, especially New York Fashion Week, and I believe London has their own as well. How did the Digital Fashion Week come to be a thing, and does it happen in parallel to the regular Fashion Week, or are they very separate events?
Yeah, so they're actually separate events, but it does happen around the same time that the fashion week is happening. So, like, maybe not clashing on the same days, but like similar to that particular week when it's happening. And I attended it last time, I think for the first time in London, and I got to see like a lot of there were a lot of production videos that go in the background, when the models are walking, and there were all these production videos that were completely conceptualized and made using AI. So the avatars were completely, created using 3D models. All the video generation was done using AI, and it was very interesting to actually see that like there was actually no model, there was no shooting that actually happened. It was all created, and it was incredible to see that because they were so different and so like futuristic and not something I'd seen before. And even the digital collection that we saw was pretty amazing. And like I mean the all the designers that were actually displaying their work were all phygital designers, so they were
Okay.
all Web3 designers. So it was very interesting to see that, and also a pleasant surprise was to see a lot of uni kids there who were trying to also understand what this is all about. And so I think that's a great thing because I am sure that I had no idea what all of this was when I was in uni. And I wish someone had given me a glimpse of like, this is what the future is.
Yeah.
I would have started on these softwares years ago, but clearly I was a bit late for that. But it was good to see that they were interested in, what is this all about? And yeah, I think it brought together a great community as well of fashion and Web3 lovers. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, no, having the university kids there is exciting, and knowing that it is the bleeding edge of technology, and I think that that's where university, especially if you're in the either the art and technology space or the fashion and technology, like where those things are blending, you want to be where the conversations are taking place for sure. So that's very cool that the Fashion Week is kind of seeing the writing on the wall when looking at that AI conversation and the idea that you're not needing models as much, and I think we'll talk about also AR and virtual try-ons and things like this. How do you think it's actually impacting the fashion industry, though, right? Like, you've got AI taking away the need for models on the spot. You've got kind of the AR virtual try-on thing where now maybe you don't even need to go into stores as much. So how do you see kind of the fashion economy adapting and innovating along with kind of Web3 and not even just Web3, but like AI and AR, which are a bit broader than just Web3 or blockchain, right? It seems like there's a lot of technology impacting fashion in big ways right now.
Absolutely. I think like it's something that even if the fashion industry doesn't want to accept as something that's going to happen, because I think a lot of brands have started using it a lot. Like Gucci has their own space in Sandbox, and there have been so many other brands that have collaborated with spatial places and Decentraland and other things where they're actually showcasing their collection and having a showroom in the metaverse and things like that. So it is the experience. Like for example, if there's a beautiful showroom in Paris which I would like to go to, but I can't for some reason, if I can experience that, using my headset or like a VR AR experience I can have, and I can actually purchase something and it comes to my house in 2 days, and I've like bought something over without actually going there. I think that's an amazing experience, and the use case needs to be more clear, and people need to understand that digital fashion is not just something that, because everyone is like, what are you going to do with it, because you have to eventually wear clothes when you get out, and what do you like, how do you match the two things? But what they do need to understand is that there are multiple other use cases of it. And for example, try on is something that ASOS had started, I think, about maybe 5 6 years ago, and I saw it on it, and I knew that it's not getting too much traction because they removed it in about like a few months.
Hmm.
But according to me, it was a great technology, and you're using it to actually see how it looks. Because again, ASOS is not a shop, it's not a brick and mortar, it is completely like an online retail store. So they're taking that experience, ahead one level by giving you a try on. But they removed it like I think within 2 months or something like that. On the other hand, I think it was maybe because they didn't promote it and they were just trying it out. But there's a company that sells sunglasses and glasses here in India. It's called Lenskart, and when they did this, it became like a massive thing, and everyone was trying on like glasses, virtually, and it was like instantly viral. So I think it also depends on how you position it. If you I mean, sometimes the words AR, VR scare people. So you need to make
Mm.
it more, sort of malleable so that they can really understand what this is without getting intimidated by the technology. And I don't think it's going anywhere. I think it depends on people how quickly they adapt to it and they understand that it's not like you don't have to fight it. You in fact have to use it for your benefit. But I think that's something that's going to take a little while. It's a steep learning curve for like a lot of people. But like I said, it's good to see that uni students are actually pushing the boundaries and wanting to understand how this works. So yeah, I think like it's not something you can ignore for sure.
No doubt. And what I'm hearing is it's more of a good thing than any kind of thing to fear or be worried about, right? Like it's adding new opportunities for those who want to take the digital route and try things out that way. But there's still going to be the brick and mortar. There's still going to be kind of your traditional way of going and
Always.
trying on clothes. And even when looking at kind of the modeling conversation and the way that clothes are shown, is anything ever going to beat like an actual model walking down a runway, or actually like giving you that kind of verbal confirmation and visual confirmation that the stuff looks good, as opposed to like an AI or a computer, right? So I think that's the flip side of it, right?
It's
So
surely going to become better and better because, like I think somebody had given this example that when emails started, we used to get all these emails where it used to say that, click on this link and you can win like $50,000 and everything. But now we have a spam folder, which we don't ever look at, and all the emails go there directly. So it's how technology has evolved over time and become more and more refined. And it's the same thing that's going to happen for sure right now. Maybe you and I have been in this space for a while, so we're aware of where we are going, but a lot of people are completely unaware of it. And surely they don't have a lot of love for all the AI and new advancements that are happening, but it's just something that you can't avoid. And I think you should use it, and because I use it as well for a lot of my work, and I feel like there's no harm. I think it's just I'm delegating it to someone instead of doing it myself. So that's how I see it.
amazing, amazing. All right. I love it. Getting the conversation started right. So tell us a little bit about your phygital fashion. We're on the Brushbound site here for those who are watching. We'll be able to kind of pick out different designs and see your art. Very cool. So how are you incorporating Web3 into your fashion, and what's kind of the latest project that you're working on that you want to tell us about?
Of course. So I'll give a little bit of a background, and that is that I have worked in fashion for about 13 years. And last 2 years, I've been in the Web3 space, mostly as an artist. So I think last year during December, I was just thinking that I need to bring all these three things together, which is art, fashion, and Web3 and blockchain, because I want to leverage that, technology a lot more. So that's when I came up with this collection of 50 one-of-ones, which are on Solana, on Mellow. And if you purchase one of the NFTs, and I'm just gonna, I mean, it's just like a membership into the, system, into the brand. So if you buy one of the NFTs, you get to co-create with me any piece that you like. So there are about 300 designs that are available, and you get to choose the kind of print you like. You can choose whether you want a menswear or a women's wear. Do you want a dress or a shirt, whatever you like, and it'll be delivered to you. And you just have to let me know your size and where you need it to be delivered, and that's where it's going to be sent to. And they all come with like an NFC tag, so that you can see like all the instructions, like from the wash care instructions to where it was made, and some process of some pictures of behind the scene as well, so you can see all of those things. And so I really wanted to incorporate that as well. So that's basically like the overarching of what it
Very
is.
cool.
Because every time I was actually posting an artwork, because of the colors that I have and because they're all like really fashionable, I was always getting a request that, I would love to have this jacket and I would love to have this shirt, or this dress would looks really nice. So I was like, okay, what's really stopping me from making this? Because I know I can. So I really wanted to set up this model so that, I can kind of prove to everyone that it's not a luxury brand, it's a mid-segment premium brand, but you can crack it. There are enough tools for me available so that I can use them, and I know it's a little disintegrated because the collection is on Mellow, and then the fashion collection is on the website. So I want to obviously bring all of that together, but it's not impossible to actually have it running.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's basically what I've been working on since December.
Amazing, amazing. Congratulations. I'm looking at the art on
Thank you.
Malo. And yeah, the art is amazing. The fashion is beautiful. The colors really pop. And so you're saying you buy any one of these NFTs, and you have then entrance into your kind of fashion collection. And then, so is there any additional costs when looking at actually getting the clothing to you, beyond the 1.75 Sol that you're purchasing the NFT for?
No, there's no extra cost at all. So it's
Ah,
just the NFT cost. So once you've bought the NFT, and also the prints that you will be able to choose from are the ones that the NFTs are wearing. So you can just choose whichever one you like. Again, I haven't restricted it that, oh, if you have a floral print, then you only get to buy this particular dress in this particular print. You just buy one and you choose from 300, whatever you like. And on the website, it's like a password protected one only for the members. But
mm,
over there are 3D models which I generated for all the 300 designs. So they can have a look and they can, zoom in, move it around, have a look at what it actually looks like, and then decide which one they want to buy. So no
very cool.
additional cost, just a little bit of an effort.
No doubt. Hey, well, it's not even effort; it's shopping, right? People love shopping. I'm looking at this floral print. I'm thinking that's going to look good in Miami, man. I might have to take a look at some of this. Trying to back out to Miami next year for Art Basel. It's been slowly becoming an annual tradition
Amazing.
for myself. It's been pretty cool, and there's always some cool NFT creators and builders out there. But yeah, this is fascinating. Congratulations again. So you buy the NFT, you click over to brushbound.com, you then can select it. Is there an on-chain kind of connection between brushbound.com and your, I guess, Solana wallet, or are you looking at kind of integrating the technology on the platform? I guess let's walk through the steps, right? So we purchased the NFT on Malo. What's next?
Yeah. So once the NFT is purchased on Mellow, then once I get to know, I just DM the person with a password and a link. They use the link. It's from the website. It's a part of my website. It's just a password protected one, so they can go there and there's a massive type form where they can see all the designs. They can choose whichever design they like. Again, menswear, women's wear, whichever one works for them. And there's also a place where you can give special requests, like if there is anything, maybe it's a gift for someone or anything like that. If there's a special request which I can incorporate, I'll be happy to. And that's it. And the last one is with their address, and that's all. As soon as that comes to me, I send it for manufacturing, and when it's ready, I send them like a tracking number, and it's shipped to them with the NFC tags.
That is fascinating. And even shipping is covered with the NFT cost.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So I have to ask, because I feel like without a rush to the floodgates, you can probably manage, one by one, right? But looking at like best case scenario, you sell out of all these NFTs and you've got all these orders and it becomes a bit of a task, right? A bit of a heavy lift. Are you worried about maybe under pricing to match kind of the effort that's going to be required on your front, to actually deliver these things to people, and B, just like, I guess, not making enough profit? I assume you've done the math, but it just sounds like a bit of a heavy lift. I mean, 1.75 Sol as of right now, I think is around almost $300-$400 American, maybe around that.
Yeah.
So, I just wonder, it's a lot to take on, and I just hope that it's going to work best for your business. And how have you kind of considered all of those different angles?
So honestly, there's a massive Excel sheet with a lot of information on it, which has all the details of the brackets of how much it's going to cost me in different areas in different parts of the world. What are the manufacturing? So basically, all my 13 years of experience of fashion, where I have managed production and the supply chain, came into use, and I am making profit on this, which is the best part about it, because yeah, I had my resources where I'm getting them manufactured and everything. I did my entire pricing backwards. So it's not like I decided that this is, because usually when we're selling our art, we decide the price maybe basis the market and like, those kind of things. But this
Mm,
is like a proper business. So you have to go back to the cost price. So I did like my entire calculation basis, how much does it cost me to actually get it manufactured? What is the shipping cost? What have I spent on the NFC tags? I spent a little bit on the marketing as well. So considering all things, I'm still above the water. So that's a good thing.
Nice.
And I think in terms of I got 5 orders literally in the same week that I dropped them. And I so it was like a test for me as well, but happy to report it was absolutely smooth. And all my holders got their lovely dresses and shirts, and they were very happy about it. I think it was the best part was that they weren't sure themselves, like, how is this going to look?
Hmm.
Although some of them have actually bought from my brand before.
Okay.
But, when they got it, they were even more excited. They were like, okay, this looks even better than what we imagined. So I think it's
Nice.
really amazing for them to have it. And yeah, it's been very fulfilling to actually see that.
That's really cool. Yeah, I wasn't sure how many collectors you've got already, so that's really awesome to hear. And how have they responded to kind of the NFC chip being incorporated, and how are you really leaning on that? Why, I know you mentioned the kind of the 3 pillars that we started off the show with. How are you specifically kind of leaning into those pillars for your fashion items, and how are these collectors who now have the physical item on them, as well as the NFC, what can they now do with those items that kind of bleeds into the
Yeah.
digital world? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think like the NFC tags, the main reason, firstly, when I saw someone use an NFC tag for the first time, I was immediately fascinated, and I was like, why is everybody not using this? Because now we can see that everybody uses like QR codes on everything. So it's the same thing, except for you literally don't even have to open your camera. You just have to tap your phone and you'll be able to see everything. So I was wondering why this has not been incorporated already widely for different products, but clearly it hasn't. And I also feel like the main reason why I wanted to add that in the garments was because of the sustainability factor. And that's something that, that is the main reason why I actually built this, is because I feel like a lot of brands talk about sustainable production. So they'll get the best, certified cotton, they'll work with the right factories, they'll, keep a track on the carbon footprint and all of those things. But people are still designing something that they want to design. So it's not entirely demand driven. There is, of course, a demand for clothes, but like if I'm trying to produce like 15, red sweaters, and I make them in the best way possible, but you don't want a red one, you want a black one, it's a waste. So it's basically like, playing on the fact that this is sustainable design. I have not made samples of anything that's there.
Mm.
I just know from my experience and expertise that I've chosen the right designs, and surely even the collectors can see, that this is what the design looks like, and they're very happy with it, and they've gone ahead and purchased it. So there is no sampling that's happened, and actually sampling is something where, like, creating prototypes basically, is where the fashion industry also pollutes a lot. I have worked with brands where I have tried to sell like, thousands and thousands of samples, and they have sample sales and things like that. You can never get rid of them though, because you've created something that was never required. And maybe you just thought that I like it, so everyone will like it, but it doesn't work like that. And that's why I wanted to build this completely basis the demand. And to answer your second question, which is about the tags and what else can come with it, the another problem that I think with the fashion industry is you purchase a t-shirt and that's it. Like, you're not engaging with the brand at all. Once you've had it, then it's over. And I want to bring about that sense of community and co-creation with, the holders that are there for the NFTs, so that they can continuously be, once I sell out all the 50, I want to open up to circularity, so they can actually come back to me, and I'll maybe create like maybe a tote bag from a shirt and give it back to them, or just make sure that the life of the product is much longer, even if it keeps evolving. So I have a lot of plans.
Wow. So you're actually going to
And
have like a
yeah.
recycling program essentially attached to this as well?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
fascinating. So with them being kind of made to order, and you're not sampling, you're not creating a massive amount, and so you can, sell at a cheaper rate or whatever the case may be, what is the actual turnaround time then, since you have to basically manufacture per demand, right? So what is the kind of turnaround
Yeah.
time from the time that you purchase the NFT, and I guess it's on the person to take the initial steps to follow up with you and actually fill out the order form and get everything done. But once you've done that, what is kind of the turnaround time for having your piece kind of shipped to you? How long does it usually take?
So what I had done basically was that I had already like spoken about it on Twitter, and I had actually, did a press release as well, just to mention to every person who's actually buying them that I will be sort of grouping the orders every Monday. So if I have got an order, like say for example on a Thursday or something, Monday is when I will group all the orders from the week. But from that Monday, it's 15 days. So it's not like it's going to come to you after 3 months or waiting for the entire collection to sell out or anything like that. So 15 days is not bad, I
That's
think, for
pretty
a made to
quick
order
for
bought on.
made to order. 15 days is what I would expect if you was already sitting on a warehouse somewhere and they just had to send it out. That's impressive. So yeah, I guess you've really kind of ironed out all the whole supply chain. Hey, so how? Take us through a little bit of that. Maybe you can't share all the secret sauce, but how do you manage to kind of lay that out and set up a system like that, and what work was required on your end? It sounds like quite the undertaking.
I think a lot of work was required on my side, but the only thing was that I just needed to get the model to run once, and I needed like all the, loopholes to be. And you have to basically what I did was I was thinking like a consumer. For example, if I like someone's aesthetic and their art a lot, and I would love to purchase something from them, then what are the steps that I would be taking to, how can I make it easier for them so that what are the, places where they start disengaging, which is like one of the things is if the timeline is too long and if they get it in a month or something, I might not be very interested and I'd be like, oh, but I want it as quickly as possible, even if I'm not going to wear it. But it's just the mentality that all of us have now, that when you purchase something you want it really quick. So
Yeah.
I knew that that was one point where the consumers might be disengaged. I was sure about the prints and everything, and I was doing a lot of you know um, announcements on like the kind of prints they're going to be, the kind of clothing that line is going to be. And honestly, I would love to add more designs. But I think the only part that took me like the maximum number of time was, of course, speaking to the factory and getting all the costings right. Just making sure that like from everything from the button to the collar to the thread, all of that is already taken care of so that once the order comes in, I don't have to discuss anything. I just have to point at this particular product and be like, please produce this for me and this is the size. So I did do a lot of work on the back end with the factory, and discussed all things with them, the fabrics. I did a lot of tests on different fabrics and chose the one that I think was the best. So all of that I had done, and then it was of course creating the 300 Clo 3D designs. That took a lot of time. I was sitting like for I think like 18 hours just at it. But
I believe it.
but yeah, it
I'm just
was.
poking through some of the fashion items on your website, and it's beautiful, very
Yeah,
well laid out, just awesome, really well done.
yeah. Thank you.
So going
So
back.
yeah, that was the other thing that took a lot of time.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I could imagine. And shout out to your factory, whoever's helping you out there, because that sounds like quite the
They're amazing. They're based in India, and
beautiful.
I've given their contact to a lot of other people also who are working in Web3 and phygital clothing, and
Amazing.
I am so happy that like everybody is able to make leverage of it.
That's the Web3 way, right? Exactly. It's not enough to just
Yeah,
source yourself a good partner. You help out with others in the space, and now this factory can be
absolutely,
seen as a reliable source for those who are wanting to get into the Web3 fashion space, right? So that's what's up. That's what it's all
absolutely.
about. Building, connecting, collaborating. So back to the NFTs, and I really love just the art of them, honestly. Like even if they didn't come with clothing and everything, like they're very, very cool. I'm curious, what made you go with the Solana route? I know you last time we spoke, I believe we were looking at your NFTs on Ethereum, and yeah. So why go the Solana route, and how are you finding it? Was it easy to mint the NFTs? Has the experience been good for your collectors? Anything you want to share around your choice to go with Solana and why?
Sure. I think there were two reasons. One, that I had not dropped anything on Solana before that, and I was always intrigued and I wanted to, because I didn't want to restrict myself to just Ethereum. And also because Solana is more sustainable than the other blockchains that are there, and like their community is actually very active. I've met a few people in London as well who are from their team, and they've been doing a lot of work around, trying to promote a lot of projects. And I just felt like a more welcoming sort of a vibe. So I was like, why not try this out?
Nice.
And yeah, so that was basically the reason why I tried it out. And in terms of like how it was for my holders, I have taken feedback from each one of them, and again, happy to report that it was a seamless transaction for them to go through the entire process. I think it was pretty simple. And yeah, like I'm glad that that wasn't some the first place where they disengaged with it because it's on a particular blockchain or you have to make a wallet or anything like that. So I think that's been also really great. I think actually a lot of people started coming on to Mallow as a platform, and also a lot of people created the phantom wallet, which a lot of people didn't have. So I think maybe the it's just growing. So
Yeah,
that's a
spreading
good
spreading
one.
some education for sure. Yeah, and the Phantom wallet is
Yeah.
pretty straightforward. It's pretty seamless. I'm a big fan of it. I like the way that it integrates NFTs as well. Awesome. So they haven't had any complaints as far as how the process works and the actual minting. Like, does Malo have their own kind of minting solution, or you can just create it right on their
They don't
platform?
have yeah, you can just create it right on the platform,
Hmm.
and they don't have any extra fee that is involved for the platform. It's actually just the fee that you have to pay, like the sort of small fee for Solana. But apart from that, there wasn't much, that I had to pay for minting all the pieces on it. Yeah, it was actually quite easy. I think I did test one, so I dropped one like about half an hour before the others because I was just checking it out.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't think there was any problem on that front. I think for 2 years we've been minting on so many different platforms, and that's the part I was not worried about.
No doubt.
But it was the rest of it. But yeah, but it was pretty simple for everyone.
And do you think for this part of your fashion line, for part of your brand, you're going to stick with Solana for kind of the on-chain stuff? And what about your NFC? Is that also on Solana, or is that a different type of token?
So I collaborated for the NFCs with this company called Uniquely, and
Hmm.
I actually have been like I know them for over a year now. I have been engaging with their team for a while and have recommended them to other projects as well. And so they have the NFCs on Polygon. So all the information is available on that. And working with them was also absolutely seamless. It was really not any issues to work with them because all the particular made to order pieces all have a different 3D model on them, and all of them have a different description. And have named all the whatever orders come in. So in case like if you buy a shirt, so and it's the first one in that particular print, then the shirt will be called David's shirt. So it's going to all actually say that. So all the holders actually have their own like named dresses and shirts, so they can see all of the description and everything on the NFC page.
Wow, that's very cool. Very cool. And so the NFC, despite being on Polygon, can kind of look and confirm that they have the token on Solana, and once confirmed, basically approve the purchase and all of that. Wow, fascinating.
Yeah.
And so, what has been kind of the best feedback that you've gotten so far from your collectors, and what is the kind of overall sentiment of doing this as far as incorporating NFTs into your fashion line? Is it what's the general sentiment from the market, I guess, is my question, because I'm feeling like it's like you said, a lot of people just don't want to talk about it. Maybe you even mentioned having people who have purchased other fashion from you wanting to support you essentially and order it this way, right? So you said that you kind of thought about the points of friction ahead of time and you tried to make it as seamless as possible. Has there been, whether good or bad, kind of feedback as far as like on the technology of what you're doing from your collectors or buyers? Anything you want to share?
I think I think so far it's all been great, and like the whole purpose of my art and my clothes is just to make people happy, and that's all
Nice.
that should happen because I'm using all the colors, and like there's so much talk about dopamine dressing these days, so it's good to know that like everyone who purchases it is actually really happy with it. And so far that's been the feedback. But I do what I'm looking to do next is actually try to get the technology to be a bit more refined. I would like to have like a wallet integration on my website, and I would like to actually have a just sort of bring together all the different so that they don't have to go to different places to actually understand how it works. It can all be on the website. So that is something I need to do next. And of course, it's a lot of work again. and I'm actually looking for a co-founder or like any sort of investment if everybody, whatever people think about, like either or works. But I think like I can scale it to another level, and there can be like a much bigger collection, and like I said, the technology can be a lot more refined and everything. And honestly, I didn't do any extra marketing for it. Like I was just talking about it on X, and just talking a lot about it on LinkedIn. So these are the places where I was doing it, but I haven't really done any particular marketing campaign through an agency or through like anything yet. And I
Very
think I
cool.
would like to do that, because if I have been able to do this without that push, but I think now if I have extra help, because I can focus on that right now, then that would be amazing for sure. So that's something that I'm looking to do in the future. But like, so far, I'm glad that all the customers are able to go through the entire process without any issues, but I would like to make it even better. I just want that they should go on the website and there should be this massive collection, and then they just choose what they like, and like the digital asset just kind of comes with it. Like I just want it to be like a made to order Web3 fashion brand,
Yeah, so even
I
less
think.
manual requirement from yourself, basically, and making it as seamless
Yeah.
and kind of streamlined as possible for the customers. And I could see a future where you integrate a phantom wallet and have the ability to actually token gate certain corners of your website, essentially, right? And be able to, like, if you're holding our
Yeah.
NFT, you can log into this token gated access and then make orders and have all that kind of synced in. Yeah, I could definitely see that. Dopamine dressing, I hadn't heard of that. That's pretty fascinating. So that's just the idea of like using bright colors and
That's my bread and butter.
yeah, spreading positive vibes through your clothing. Is that basically it?
Yeah, that's basically a new trend. Like, how minimalism and like a lot of like, basic tans and like nude colors and everything. This is what was in, I think, around just before COVID. But
Mm.
because after COVID, people just, there was a lot of revenge shopping. There was a lot of things that happened that people couldn't do for 2 years, and then they just went crazy with it. So dopamine dressing was actually sort of a product of that people were like, now I'm out. I want to be happy. I want to wear bright colors, and I want to really embrace it. So it's quite the ongoing trend right now. So we are on point with the spring and the dopamine dressing right ahead of us.
There you go. There you go. You're trend setting on the wave, riding the wave for sure. So I'm wondering, are you familiar with Drip or Drip.house? It's a Solana
Yeah.
website. Yeah, okay. Because I was thinking that could be an interesting kind of marketing option for yourself, because I know they are very interested in working with creators, and I haven't seen personally much fashion stuff on there yet, and I'm thinking they'd probably be very interested in it. And it is a very easy
Of
way to
course.
get your brand in front of a lot of people, because basically like you create certain types of art that you're okay with essentially airdropping to those who subscribe to you, right, on Drip, and then you have higher tier kind of rare art that you can subscribe, like allow to basically airdrop to people who actually financially support you on Drip. But most importantly, it's really just like once you're on there, you're going to get thousands of people subscribed to you because your art is really cool. And then all these people that subscribe to you are now going to be aware of Brushbound and aware of your fashion line. So just a thought, just to throw it out there. And because you're on Solana,
Yeah,
and they're really
absolutely.
killing it right now on
No,
Solana.
100%.
Yeah.
I agree with you. And also, I think like, I was talking about this just 2 days ago on one of the LinkedIn lives.
Mm.
There's a Crypto Monday London that was happening, and I was just speaking about community there. And that was one of the points that I was saying, that, you can't restrict yourself to only just your community. You need to participate in other communities. You need to indulge in like, conversations with other projects, companies, businesses, because now I think it's become a lot more diverse, because NFT art was just like a entry point for people to just understand this world. But now like we've all gone into like different sections of innovation. There are like, decentralized apps. There are like so many different things that are happening now. I was speaking to someone about decentralized patents on the blockchain, and all of these things are happening now. So I feel like the more we learn and the more we engage with people who are a different part of the same space, it's super helpful, and so many things come off it. So I still enjoy all the meetups, and like going for all these meetups and talking about it, and like hearing what other people are doing, like from devs to artists to just community managers, everything. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the right way to go.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel like in Web3, especially, you get a lot of people who want to know more than just their lane, right? Like maybe I'm an artist, but I want to understand, the developer. I want to understand the different blockchains and why, I might want to mint on this blockchain or that blockchain. And to your point, I think those meetups, those IRL meetups are where those conversations are the most impactful. So you're joining us from India today, right? And you're also based in UK, though, is your main, like Brushbound is based in UK, right? Yes. And you were also mentioning attending a Web3 event in India. So I'm curious, with that kind of unique perspective and being able to talk to you while you're sitting in India and having just attended a Web3 event out there, what are kind of the differences between the different markets and the way that India is kind of looking at Web3 and blockchain, and then, your more Western type of kind of view on the industry, I think, that you get in the UK? How do you see the kind of contrast there, if there is, or maybe they view it kind of similarly?
Honestly, I feel like the conversations are exactly the same in any part of the world if you're
Nice.
from Web3.
Web3 doesn't
We
change much,
literally
eh?
discuss the same. No, not at all. I don't think the region matters at all. There are a lot of actually events happening in India as well, because Polygon was like the founders were actually also from India. So now I think they've all moved out. But like, because of that, and like there are a lot of like honestly, India has a lot of techies and developers and coders and all of that. So
Sure.
there is already like massive. There are so many alliances like Blockchain India, and then there's one which has only the artists, which is called Colors of India. So there are actually so many communities that are there here as well. I obviously haven't got a chance to participate with a lot of them, but I literally got introduced to someone on LinkedIn, and then that person said, if you're going to Delhi, then you should, sort of meet a few people there. And then there was a small meetup that was organized, and it was so much fun to meet everyone. But the conversations in any part of the world, I don't think really changed, because we're all heading towards, it was just great. We're all talking about innovation and, new companies getting into the space and talking passionately about Web3. You need to understand the use case of it and everything. It's the same.
Nice.
And I love that, you can find the like-minded Web3 people anywhere in the world.
That is actually amazing. Yeah, that's what I like to hear too. And I think that for those of us who are kind of in that creator economy lane, especially, right, I think there is kind of the speculator and investor lane. And that exists, again, across all different regions, right? But I think the conversations are often the same when looking at the impact, when looking at the utility, and looking at the way that it's really kind of changing lives or increasing opportunities for people, especially, in some corners of the world where they have more limited opportunities. And shout out to Jagar. He was our last guest, actually. He was also in India. Might be a first time we have back-to-back guests joining us from India, but he's also on the Colors of India panel. So he actually mentioned that group on our last episode. So it's really cool that you just mentioned them as well.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's what's up. We love to have a global platform here and talk to people from different corners of the world.
Maybe I should meet him if he's around.
Yeah, definitely. I'll introduce you to Jagar. He's good people. He's a big metaverse builder. He's all about 3D assets, and he actually recently has been killing it in the Bitcoin space. He was one of the first to put 3D buildings, 3D digital asset buildings on Bitcoin ordinals. So they're basically like 150 kilobytes, so super tiny file size on Bitcoin in 3D assets. And now they're talking about a whole Bitcoin-based metaverse, which I'm still a little skeptical on, but we'll see what comes of that. But it was cool. It was very cool. Yes. So I would recommend checking out our last episode. I'll send you the link, and I'll definitely put you two in touch. Absolutely. I think that would be awesome. And as you look into the metaverse, and maybe that's my next question, do you have thoughts to enter into the metaverse? Have you created digital twin options of these clothing yet? Is that something that's in the roadmap?
That's definitely something that's in the roadmap, because honestly, after I tried the Quest 3 yesterday, and I was very fascinated, and I was like, I need to get on this and try different things out. I definitely think that, again, when people are talking about metaverse or decentralized, the first time you use it, it's glitchy, low polygon, you're just like, what's happening? I'm not really sure of this. But as time goes by, and as more and more, it becomes more and more refined, definitely it's going to be something where people are going to shop, and they're going to be able to see a lot more things. And it is like, people say that there's a digital identity and then you have a physical one. So definitely, even for my brand, that's the next thing that I wanted to do. I was hoping that I'm able to do this at the same time I'm giving a physical product, but then after speaking to a few expertise in the field, they were like, okay, you need to relax. You're one person doing all this. So how about first you deliver like a physical product, and then the next step definitely is going to be, clothing in the metaverse for sure.
Very cool. Very cool. Yes, definitely one step at a time. You got to pace yourself in this wild Web3 world. It can get a little bit over the top because there's just too many options. There's a lot of different exciting innovations that you could try to take on. But yeah, that's exciting. Something to look forward to in the future. Awesome. Have you ever considered kind of collaborating, whether in the digital fashion space or in the NFT kind of art space, when looking at kind of building your community, or just finding like-minded people who are kind of looking at the 3D or the phygital fashion conversation? Are you doing any collaborations or anything like that?
Yeah, actually, like one of the first things that I'd done, which kind of sort of triggered this in my head was with digital fashion, was the small collaboration that I'd done with the Fabricant because they're so big in the digital fashion space. So I'd done one collaboration with them about a year ago. I think it was during the last NFT NYC, and I mean because they were just getting creators together to make like prints that they can put onto garments. So I done that, and I think that kind of sort of got me started to using the Clo 3D software and just understand how all of it works. And I'm not allowed to mention names, but I am consulting for a few projects that are trying to get into have their own fashion line and sort of create digital products. So I am consulting for a few and trying to help them also get onto it. And to be honest, like I think that once I'm able to set up my brand in the right way and in the best way possible with the best technology and all of those things that I really want to integrate, then it'll be a good example for others to also see and actually get started. Because like I said, like, of course, luxury fashion brands have also started in this space, but if you have the investment, it's easier. So initially, I think this was the biggest trigger why I got into the digital fashion was because of the collaboration that I had done with the Fabricant last year at the NFT NYC. I had created this print that they'd put onto their garments, and it actually looked amazing. And after that, I was, interested in trying it out because, I think it's incredible to be able to create a prototype without actually having to cut fabric, print fabric, do all of those things. So I think that was a collaboration that really worked for me. And I think, keeping that in mind, I am like not allowed to take the names, but I am consulting for a few brands where I'm projects that I'm trying to help to get into the fashion space. So helping them develop their own fashion line so that, they are also able to get, so that it's not just merch that they're giving to their holders. There's obviously a lot more and a thoughtful curated collection that they're able to give their holders. So definitely looking at a lot of collaborations. I think that's the only way to go in this space. Like you said, like you have to work with others. And I think that's the best part about it because actually fashion is not very friendly. The traditional fashion industry is not very friendly. So this fashion industry is very friendly for sure.
So you think Web3 is kind of flipping over the apple carts as far as kind of traditional fashion and kind of the rebels in the room being like, this is how we're doing it from now on.
Exactly, because I've worked in this industry for so long and I haven't seen anything change. And I feel like if I was still doing like the same thing, I would be a very unhappy person. So I'm very glad that, we're changing it up and there's a new way of working and it's working with everyone. And I love that about the industry for sure.
Nice.
Thanks to Web3 for doing that.
That's what's up. And how are you feeling about Web3 in general right now? Like the NFT market is, seems to be kind of in a steady, relatively, not super excited, not like, hype of 2021, 2022. But even as crypto seems to be, turning a corner, are we going to see the NFT markets turn a corner? Or to your point and to your project, really, is it just about, maybe the mystique and like the fascination around NFTs, like and getting rich quick and all that kind of narrative around it has subsided? But the real utility, the real technology is just starting, right? Is just getting started. So how do you feel about the market right now? And I guess that applies to both your fashion and the art that you have on chain. But yeah, how are you feeling about NFTs these days in 2024?
So I definitely think it's good to see the numbers going up, and it's good to see that we are out of a bear market and probably headed towards a bull market. Actually, I would assume we're kind of almost there, but like, yeah, I don't want to jinx it, but
Yeah.
like, I think we are there. But I think the good thing is that, again, I think it's just, the spotlight comes back. And also, I feel like it's not like the spotlight went when the NFTs and when we were in the bear market or the NFTs were not selling. I feel like a lot of people were questioning it at that time also. But as they say, like, any kind of publicity works, whether it's good or bad. So I feel like people haven't forgotten. And now that we're back, a bit, like the volume of NFT trade has gone up and like a lot of exchange has gone up. I feel like everybody's again like, oh, so like literally the questions have changed. I remember answering this question 6 months ago and everyone was like, so I've heard NFTs are dead. And I was like, that firstly doesn't make any sense, but sure. And then now the conversation is about like, hey, I heard NFTs are back. So it's not like anybody's forgotten about us throughout this entire, scenario. But the point is that I agree with what I was saying, that, that the entry point was the art. That's what got everybody, interested and like intrigued about blockchain and Web3 and what is NFTs and all of that. But I think the use cases are now going to be at the forefront. So the spotlight is not going to be just on the art. It's going to definitely be on what are you doing with this technology? What are you building with this technology? So I think that's going to be the focus. But maybe for someone who doesn't understand the nuances of this space, it will just mean that NFTs are back, which is fine with me. Sure, we can call it that.
NFTs are back. Let's go. Let's get excited. But yeah, no, I agree. And to your point, it's a bigger conversation, I think, now. But where is the art side of Shreya's portfolio going, and how are you feeling about kind of the art space in general, on the blockchain more specifically? Personally, as somebody who has multiple metaverse galleries that I like to show off, and I'm cool with just having the art for the sake of showing it off and putting it on the walls of the metaverse, as it were. But I do think artists need to make money. I see the value in having secondary markets and trading art even as a collector. So I do want to see that whole economy back to, even if it never gets to like the hype of 2021 again, just some kind of constant, consistent art trading market that is seen as a truly reputable, truly impactful kind of economy that's helping artists, most importantly. How do you feel about that? And are you still looking at the art space as like a real opportunity, or are you kind of putting that to the side for the time being?
I don't think I can ever put it on the side, because I think that was again like how I got into the space and kind of understood about everything. I think like it was mainstream. It was the only thing that I was, my focus was completely on that. But now that I have this sort of a model set up, it's almost like fueling my fashion and phygital side of the brand as well. So, but I have seen honestly on X, I've seen a lot of transactions happening, a lot of biddings happening, and all of those things. I think it's a positive for sure. I am focusing more on, because honestly, creating 50 one-of-ones was also not that easy. So I'm going to hold off a little bit.
Yeah, that's serious
and
art. No, it's amazing. Yeah.
So that took a lot of time. So, I think I gave it a lot. So I'm going to wait for that to sell out and wait for that entire thing to work out. But I think that like the art is not going to go anywhere. And like, it is still going to be like the identity. Like, it's almost like the art part is the brand identity that Web3 has. But although there is so much other stuff going in the background, but like that's what you get to see on the face of it, which is artwork and people buying NFTs, like art NFTs and things like that. And obviously it's trickled down to other things like music and videos and things like that, and animation. So I think there's a huge market for that as well, because I don't think artists or designers have been credited ever before the way they have been in this space. So I think like I'm hopeful that keeps going on.
No doubt, no doubt. So the art is a big part of the Web3 brand. I like that, and that's a good way of thinking about it. So I know you mentioned attending a lot of IRL events. I think we're both going to be at NFT NYC this year, and I know you were there last year as well. We get to briefly cross paths, but we didn't connect at any of the events. But yeah, looking at kind of the narrative at a lot of these, I find, we tend to speak to the choir a lot at these kind of events, which is fine. We're the ones who are interested in kind of people who are already active in Web3. But do you think that the narratives that you kind of come across at these events translate into real life? Like, do you think that they're accurate, or are we kind of missing the bigger kind of appeal to people? Like, what are you kind of taking away from the IRL events right now, and why do you think it's important to kind of keep attending them and keep speaking at them?
I think I think it's really important to sometimes put a face to, the PFPs that we have been talking to for a while. I mean, we all have friends all over the world who we've never met, but they're like really good friends. And we go to them with all our problems and everything, but we really haven't seen them ever. So I actually think IRL events are really really good for actually engaging with your audience as well. Last time when I was at NFT NYC, I think the best part for me was, of course, the Times Square, which was huge. And but apart from that, like, so many people who saw my work there actually sent me pictures and said that, hey, I know you and I saw your work, and are you at like the event? I would love to meet you. And so I felt like, it almost is like closing the loop. Like, okay, there's this person who we don't know, but now we can all put it together. And I also feel like it's I think it's great because, so many people can't accumulate on a webinar together or on any digital platform really, but they can accumulate like IRL and meet and talk and discuss work. And I think I got a lot of collaborations as well coming from that. And I honestly enjoyed a lot of side events as well, because there were a few which were specifically for fashion. There were a few which were, specifically for immersive art and like things like that. So I think it was very interesting to actually, they supplemented the main event really, really well. And I think like it's a part of branding, like, when you see all these influencers on Instagram, that is where we get to be influencers. It's at the IRL event where we can actually, just talk to people and meet the people who actually like our work and like appreciate our work. And yeah, I think it's an important, you have to add that to your, marketing campaign, so to say, that you go for these events and you actually meet people over there as well. And some of the events that I've attended have been really, really great. And I'm glad that I'm in a city like London where there's so many events that keep happening and there's so many communities that are there. So yeah, like recently I'd done a collaboration with World of Women, and that was great. It was really nice. There was an event, I dressed up, like styled the entire team, and I had a small, area where I had my clothes as well, and obviously I was wearing the clothes as well, so it was really nice. And then I had these little gifts that I gave everyone who attended it. So it was so much fun because you get to actually host it and meet people and talk to them about your journey and what you've done so far.
That's huge. And is World of Women London-based project as well?
World of Women is the US based one.
It is US based.
The really
okay.
big one.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And they have now started getting pretty active in London as well. Earlier, their entire team was, based out of the US, but like now they have started, they hosted a Christmas dinner. They just had like the spring one where I collaborated with them. Because if you think of spring and you don't think of my clothes, then I will be very upset about that. But yeah, because I met them a few times and then they were very excited of like, they said, let's do something together. So it was a lot of fun. It was a great event. And NFT UK is very, popular as well. They have great meetups. They have meetups almost every month. And Mila, who is like the founder of it, like she's incredible at getting people making people meet people. Like the moment I enter her event, she's like, okay, you have to meet this person, this person, this person. And this is what she's doing the whole time.
Nice.
But it's so fruitful because so many collaborations come off it. So I'm all for IRL events.
That's what's up. That's amazing. Yeah. And I definitely resonate with what you're saying about the satellite events. This is going to be my third time attending NFT NYC, but my first time actually, being able to speak at the formal event at the convention and having an actual ticket myself to the convention. Although I always managed to sneak my way in the past, but, but it's pretty cool to have access this time around. But in the past, I have enjoyed the satellite events definitely more than my brief time kind of walking through the conventions, which is cool and definitely good for collaborating and networking. But the satellite events, I think, are where the real fun happens. And it's also where a lot of the brands like to give back, right? You get a lot of free drinks, you're getting a lot of just access, and a lot of the artists want to be there. So you end up crossing paths with a lot of cool artists like yourself and others in the space who kind of have a name for themselves, and you end up meeting them, IRL. It's
we
amazing.
did bump into each other at one of the satellites events.
Yes,
So we actually did bump into each other at the main one.
It happens. So exciting. Looking forward to it this year as well. What are you going to be speaking on at NFT NYC? And I believe you said your art is being featured there as well. Are you looking forward to anything specific?
I think my art might be at the community village, so I'm not sure if it's going to be at the Times Square again, but that's fine.
Hey, Times Square is something to brag about for the rest of your life, whether it happens once or twice or however many times.
My claim to fame.
There you go.
Yeah, but I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm actually speaking on tools for artists to get into the NFT space. So last year I'd spoken about fashion. This year I wanted to talk a bit more about art. And again, talk about it as a use case more than just putting your art out there, and think about what your storytelling and all of those things. What are the tools that can actually help you push into this space? Because now we have a lot of artists in this space. So how can you kind of stand out? So that's the sort of conversation I'm going to be having with 4 other very amazing artists. So I think it should be good fun. I think it's nice to change the topic a little bit because now I have so many talking points. So last time I spoke about fashion, and this time I'm interested to speak about art.
Awesome. I feel like.
And what are you talking about?
I'm going to be talking about the creator economy in Web3 and really just how the blockchain is creating opportunities for the global creator economy. Very broad kind of subject that we like to touch on pretty much every week on this show, and really just highlighting, the opportunities that exist and the idea that, we should not be focusing solely on the investment angle and the speculation side of the conversation, and actually focus on people on the ground improving their lives and the lives of their community through the revenue that they're able to generate through blockchain. And they only give us like 10-15 minutes to talk, so whether I'll have enough time to really get into the nuts and bolts of why the blockchain is such an exciting opportunity for people, we'll see. But I think it's going to be a good chat, and I look forward to your chat and many others that are going to be taking place there. Yeah, it's exciting. So what's kind of, I know you're obviously working on selling out this entire Mallow collection. So that's MALLOW.art. That's the platform. Look up Brushbound on there. You can find really cool artwork. If you want to collect some really awesome fashion NFTs, this is the way to do it. Phygital fashion, redefining how fashion works on the blockchain. So what's kind of new and exciting for you around the corner, aside from selling out this this collection, which we're rooting for you, and it's really awesome.
Thank you. I'm actually speaking to a lot of accelerator and incubator programs, and I'm also speaking to a lot of co-founders and investors to sort of get that push that I think it needs right now, because I think I wanted to prove that the model works, and it does. So that's the next step that I want, because I really feel like it has a lot of potential, because every person that I've spoken to and explained the entire idea to has been excited by it, even before I actually put out the art and the fashion part of it. Even when I was prepping for it and after prepping it as well, I feel like I've got a really good feedback from everyone, and everyone seems to be very excited about it. And the more conversations you have, I think the more your idea gets refined, and you kind of understand, your pitch becomes better, which is something I'm working on these days, and how to pitch to investors and how to pitch to co-founders, and see if there's anything that, we can sort of work on together, and if they're interested in the idea. But it does, speaking to different people, like I spoke to someone who's not from Web3, so it was a very different pitch. And then I spoke to someone who's from Web3, which was a very different pitch. So it's interesting because you're also trying to sort of understand that what's the end goal for yourself, and where do you see your brand going. So that's what I'm working on right now. Very futuristic, but getting ahead.
No, that's slowly. Amazing. And think you got your eyes on the prize, and you're definitely seeing the potential of what your brand is building, but acknowledging that you're one person, and you need liquidity, investment to make it happen, so you can hire a team to build it out. And I think, even just the acknowledgement of looking for a co-founder is a very cool angle to take. I think there's a lot of founders who don't want to necessarily maybe humble themselves to acknowledge, like, I could really use a co-founder to help me kind of take this to that next level. So kudos to you for actually having that clarity and being able to kind of focus on exactly what you want to do as far as next steps. When looking at the investor conversation, I think it's always a little tricky in Web3, right? I think, you always have to kind of look past the initial offer and look at, like, what are you really wanting from this? Are you someone I can actually work with, or are you kind of just looking for a quick buck or quick return? Are you going to be genuinely invested, both like, from an intrinsic perspective, not just a financial perspective, right? So how are you kind of tackling that kind of investor conversation as we wind down here?
I think it's been pretty interesting. I think it's, again, been like quite a learning curve for me because I haven't ever done this before. So, it's interesting, the kind of conversations, but I feel like still everyone's been really positive. And I think you have to keep an open mind because you have an idea, and to you, it seems like, this is the right way, or this is to pitch it, or this is the right way to talk about it, and these are your pillars and everything. But every time, like, a person has a question, it gets you thinking that, am I clear on this? Do I know why I'm doing this and everything? So I think it's very important to sort of have these conversations. And yes, sometimes they're just around like the numbers. Sometimes they're around like, the person, because I honestly feel like some friends that I have who have got seed money and they have actually got investors behind their companies mostly talk about the fact that, they're investing in the person. They really want to see how passionate you are about it, how much work you've put into it and everything. So far, whoever I've spoken to, even like some, sort of mediators who kind of get you to meet investors and collaborators and co-founders, like, they have all given a good feedback as well, saying that, at least we can see that you're like, this is not just something you're doing and like you're waiting to like sort of sell it out or something like that. You really have put a lot of thought behind it. So fingers crossed it goes somewhere.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's been interesting.
Yeah, and I think the fact that exactly you have a very clear mission and vision kind of tied to it, behind it, is everything, so congratulations. These art pieces are amazing. One of one NFTs on mallow.art. Definitely everybody go check out Brushbound on Mallow, even just for the art, frankly, at one of one pieces at 1.75 Solana. They're beautiful NFTs. But not only do you get this amazing one of one art, but you get an order for any fashion items from Brushbound, including shipping, which is amazing. So I want everyone to check it out. Let us know if you decide to buy anything. We'd love the feedback, and just really congratulations to you, Shreya. I think you're ahead of the pack. You're on the bleeding edge of fashion technology. You've got your dopamine fashion, dopamine dressing. You're spreading the good vibes. It's amazing. So, and I just really love the art. So yeah, congratulations. Any final words before we wrap up here you want to share?
No, that's pretty much everything I think that I could possibly talk about my new project and myself and my journey so far. And thank you for having me. This is always such a pleasure to be here and talk about everything Web3.
Well, thank you for joining, Shreya, and hopefully maybe we can connect IRL in NYC and get a sit-down interview in person. That could be cool if we have time, but I'm sure we'll both be running around helter-skelter in New York, but we got to take a little bit of time to connect. So looking forward to that, and safe travels from India back to UK, and hope everything's good on your end. Thank you. And to everybody who's watching and listening, we'll be back next week, and until then, we'll catch you in the metaverse. Peace out.